I killed my reflection that morning, not with a bullet or a blade. Nothing so poetic, but with a stare that lasted too long in the bathroom mirror of my cramped Brooklyn walk-up, the kind of stare that whispers, "You're done pretending." At 7:45 a.m., I was Everly Kane, 32, mid-level analyst at Apex Dynamics, the Wall Street Wolf Den where dreams go to get skinned alive. By 8:01, I was nothing. Fired. Framed. Fucked over by the man I'd trusted with my secrets, my body, my goddamn soul. It started with a kiss in the elevator 3 years ago. Harlan Voss, CEO of Apex, silver fox with a Yale pedigree and eyes like polished obsidian. He was 54, married to a ghost of a socialite who summered in the Hamptons while he wintered in my bed. I told myself it was ambition, not love, climbing the ladder one whispered promise at a time. But ambition has a way of bleeding into something uglier, and by last night, we'd crossed into territory that made my stomach churn even now. The email hit my inbox at 8 o'clock sharp. Subject, immediate termination. No pleasantries, no HR buffer. Just cold legalese, gross misconduct, embezzlement of client funds. Effective immediately. My hands shook as I clicked through the attachments. Forged wire transfers, timestamps doctored to show my login, emails I'd never sent, but bore my digital fingerprints. Harlan's work, no doubt. He'd buried his screw-up deep. A rogue trade that tanked a hedge fund client's portfolio by $50 million. Insider negligence, the kind that could have ended his reign. Instead, he'd pinned it on me, the disposable ingenue who'd gotten too close. I stormed into the executive floor at 8:05, heels clicking like gunfire on the marble. The glass walls of the boardroom loomed ahead, filled with the morning meeting crew, suits from Goldman knockoffs, all sipping $12 lattes while the world outside buzzed with commuter hell. Harlan sat at the head, tie straight as a guillotine, flashing that trademark smile as I burst through the door. "Everly," he said, voice smooth as bourbon. "This is a private. You son of a bitch." The words exploded out of me, raw and reckless. Heads turned, phones half raised to record. In America, we worship the takedown, but only if it's scripted for cable news. This was improv, ugly and unfiltered. "You think you can just erase me? After everything?" He didn't flinch, didn't even blink. "Security," he murmured into his earpiece, and two goons in ill-fitting blazers materialized like bad omens. But I wasn't done. I slapped the printed email onto the table, the pages fanning out like a house of cards. "This is your mess, Harlan. That Cayman account? The ghost trades? I know about the reversal clause in the founder's charter. The one that flips control if fraud's exposed. You signed it off yourself." Murmurs rippled through the room. The reversal clause, Apex's dirty little secret, buried in the 1998 incorporation docs. A failsafe from the paranoid tech bro who started it all, designed to oust any CEO caught cooking the books. It had never been invoked until now. Harlan's smile cracked, just a hairline fracture, but I saw it. Saw the flicker of fear in those obsidian eyes. By 8:15, I was escorted out, zip-tied in metaphor if not fact, my badge yanked like a bad tooth. The elevator descent felt eternal, each floor a reminder of floors I'd never reclaim. But as the doors dinged open to the lobby, my phone buzzed. Not a sympathy text from a coworker too scared to text back, but a notification from an app I'd forgotten existed, Neuralink Beta. The experimental neural interface Harlan had roped me into testing 6 months ago. For team building, he'd joked, strapping me into that humming chair in his private lab, electrodes kissing my temples like forbidden lovers. I'd laughed it off then, some Silicon Valley wet dream of mind melding for productivity. But Neuralink wasn't just code, it was a bridge, a swap. And in my rage, as I stumbled into the December chill of Wall Street, frost biting my cheeks, I activated it. Not for data sync, for something darker, something irreversible. The protocol was simple. 2 users, synced profiles, a mutual consent ping. Harlan and I were the only actives in the beta pool. His arrogance, my naivety. I hit initiate transfer on a whim, half expecting a glitch. But the world tilted. A vertigo hit like cheap tequila, colors bleeding at the edges. My vision doubled, then snapped. When it cleared, I wasn't in my body anymore. I was in his. The boardroom reformed around me, but now I was at the head, Harlan's manicured hands, my hands, gripping the table edge. Panic clawed up his throat. but it was my voice that choked out, "What the?" No. His voice, deep and commanding, but laced with my terror. The suit stared. "Mr. Voss? You okay?" He forced a nod, but inside, Everly's mind reeled. This wasn't a dream. This was possession. Swap. And with it came access. His biometrics, his overrides, his goddamn empire at my fingertips. By 8:45, the first move was made. I locked his desktop, fired off an anonymous audit alert to the board. Buried secrets bubbled up, emails, ledgers, the works. The betrayal cut deeper than the firing. He'd used our nights together to mine my access codes, turning intimacy into intel. I'd borne his sins before I even knew them, signing off on dummy reports while he siphoned funds to offshore lovers. And the worst? The hit and run last summer. His Bentley clipping a delivery kid on the FDR, the kid's body mangled but hushed with Apex hush money. I'd taken the heat anonymously, falsified alibis, shredded reports, because he swore it was our future. Lies. All of it. At 9 a.m., the reversal clause triggered, not by exposure, but by proxy. His confession, scripted from my trapped mind. I watched from behind his eyes as the holographic charter projected, lines glowing like judgment. Control flipped. The board, smelling blood, voted unanimous. Harlan Voss, me in his skin, was ousted. But I wasn't done. The swap held, a neural tether no firewall could sever. I had his power, his face, his keys to the kingdom. And Everly Kane? I was just getting started. The real Harlan, flailing in my slight frame, would wake soon in that Brooklyn bathroom, staring at my reflection with his eyes. Let him scream. Let him beg. Revenge isn't served cold. It's worn like a second skin. As the board applauded the smooth transition, I leaned back in his leather throne, tasting victory and vomit in equal measure. This was New York. Eat or be eaten. And for the first time, I was the one with teeth. But power like this, it hungers, and mine was just warming up. Harlan's body moved like a Ferrari, smooth, predatory, every gesture calibrated for dominance. Walking out of that boardroom at 9:05 felt like strutting through a minefield blindfolded, but exhilaration buzzed under my skin. His skin. The swap's aftereffects lingered, a phantom itch where my tattoos should be, a discreet rose on my ribcage from a wild Vegas weekend, the unfamiliar weight of his broader shoulders. I caught his reflection in the elevator's mirrored walls, salt and pepper hair slicked back, jawline sharp enough to cut glass. Power looked good on me. Down in the lobby, chaos brewed. My old self, Harlan in Everly's 5'4" frame, was already causing a scene, pounding on the security desk in a pencil skirt that rode up like a bad joke. This is insane. I'm Harlan Voss. Call the board now. The guards exchanged glances, one muttering into his radio. Lady, we just got the memo. You're trespassed. Everly Kane, right? Take it up with HR. Harlan Voss, stepped off the elevator then, flashing his badge like a royal flush. Gentlemen, I drawled in his baritone, that's enough. Miss Kane's had a rough morning. Escort her to the private lounge. Discreetly. They complied, of course. Perks of the crown. As they frog-marched my old body away, I caught a glimpse of Harlan's eyes in my face. Wild, disbelieving, a mirror of the horror I'd felt at 8:01. Satisfaction curled in my gut, dark and viscous. But beneath it, a sliver of doubt. How long could this last? Neuralink's beta docs, which I now accessed via his neural implants, promised temporary empathy bridging. Temporary my ass. I'd overridden the timer, looping the tether indefinitely. Experimental tech, untested on humans beyond lab rats. Risky? Hell yes. But in a city where billionaires bet lives on crypto dips, this was just Tuesday. The private lounge was a glass area overlooking the bullpens below, traders shouting into headsets, screens flickering with red and green like a digital fever dream. I poured a scotch from Harlan's decanter, the burn familiar yet alien in his throat. Sipping it, I pulled up his encrypted drive. Secrets spilled like cheap wine. The embezzlement was tip of the iceberg. Harlan had been skimming for years, funneling Apex profits into a shadow network. Offshore shells tied to Russian oligarchs, DC lobbyists, even a slush fund for that hit-and-run cover-up. The kid's family? Paid off with $2 million and a gag order. their grief repackaged as settlement. I'd borne that weight unknowingly at first, then willingly. Last 4th of July, barbecue at his Hamptons estate, fireworks popping like gunfire. He'd confessed over ribs and roes, tears in his eyes. Real ones, I thought. Everly, it was an accident. The kid darted out. If it gets out, everything crumbles. Help me bury it. For us. I'd nodded, numb, signing the NDA that night while his wife dozed upstairs. Betrayal's first cut, realizing love was just leverage. Now, in his skin, I drafted the emails. Subtle leaks to the Times tip line, anonymized but laced with breadcrumbs. By noon, the first whispers hit the wires. Apex Dynamics CEO Voss implicated in fraud probe. Stocks dipped 3%. The board called an emergency session at 1 p.m. I attended as Harlan, playing the outraged patriarch while my mind scripted the downfall. But my old body wasn't idle. From the lounge's security feed, I watched Harlan in Everly rage against the mirrors, clawing at her. His arms, leaving red welts that had bruised like accusations. At 10:30, he tried the Neuralink app on my phone, salvaged from my purse. The ping echoed in my skull. Consent to reverse? I denied it, remotely, with a smirk that felt foreign on his lips. Hunger gnawed by 11. Harlan's metabolism craved steak, not my usual kale smoothies. I ordered in from Delmonico's, filet, rare, devouring it at his desk while scrolling his contacts. There, Voss, Elena, his wife. The ghost. I texted, darling, board's a shit show. Home late. Love H. Her reply, don't forget Tuscany next week. The kids ask about you. Kids? Harlan had 2 from a previous marriage, teens in Andover boarding school. I'd met them once, awkward brunch where they eyed me like the help. Now, they were pawns. The controversial decision hit at 11:45. Call the kids? Tell them daddy's in trouble? No, twist the knife. I dialed Elena instead, voice steady. Elena, it's Harlan. We need to talk. About the accident. The boy on the FDR. Silence, then a gasp. What are you? Harlan, that's buried. You promised. I lied. I said, Harlan's timbre turning venomous. And so did you. You knew. The whole time. She'd been in the passenger seat that night, half drunk on vintage cab, urging him to just drive. Complicity, sealed with silence. Now it cracked open. By 12:30, she was en route to the office, face pale in the lobby cam. The board meeting loomed, but first, confrontation. I met her in the lounge, where my old body still seethed in a holding pattern, sedated lightly by a wellness shot from security. Harlan and Everly slumped in a chair, muttering curses. Elena, I said, embracing her stiffly. She smelled of Chanel and fear. It's worse than you think. As she spilled, details of the crash, the bribes, her own side hustles with Apex perks. I recorded it all, sub rosa via his cufflink cam. Betrayal layered on betrayal. She'd greenlit the frame job on me, jealous of our affair, whispering to Harlan that I was too ambitious. I'd taken the fall for both of them. The meeting started at 1. I walked in as Harlan Voss, the room thick with cigar ghosts and ambition. Gentlemen, ladies, I began. The reversal clause is active. But before we proceed, a confession. Screens lit with the audit files, Elena's audio cued. Gasps. Accusations flew like confetti at a funeral. By 2 p.m., Harlan Voss was suspended pending investigation. The board, desperate for stability, appointed me, in his skin, as interim CEO. Power surged, electric and profane. But as I signed the orders, a neural ping. Swap integrity, 87%. Warning, prolonged exposure risks synaptic bleed. Synaptic bleed. Minds merging. Whose thoughts were these? His memories of boardroom conquests bleeding into mine. I shoved it down. Revenge waited for no man. Down the hall, my old body stirred. Harlan's eyes locked on mine through the glass. Everly, he mouthed, voice cracking in my soprano. Give it back. I mouthed back. Never. The afternoon blurred into calls, SEC hounds sniffing, reporters circling like vultures over roadkill. I fielded them in Harlan's clipped cadence, buying time. But the real game was underground, Neuralink's core server, hidden in a Jersey data farm. If I could lock the swap permanently. Dusk fell over Manhattan, lights winking like conspirators. Elena left in tears, promising divorce papers by dawn. The kids? I'd call them later, spin a tale of daddy's health scare. Lies beget lies. At 6 p.m., a burner buzzed. Unknown. You think this ends with me? Check the safe. Apex Vault. Your real crime. Harlan, from my phone, taunting. The safe. His private stash, biometrically locked to his, now my thumb. Inside, not cash, but files. On me. The secret I'd buried deeper than his sins. The one that made my betrayal possible. The vault door hissed open at 6:15, cool air kissing Harlan's face like a lover's breath. No, my breath now, stale scotch and suppressed panic. The safe was a black maw in the wall behind his desk, stuffed with velvet trays of emeralds, gifts from Dubai deals, and ledgers that could topple administrations. But the file, manila, innocuous, hit like a gut punch. Everly Kane, Project Echo Dossier. Pages yellowed at edges, stamped confidential. My hands, his hands, trembled as I flipped through. Photos first. Me at 22, fresh out of NYU, interning at a podunk firm in Queens. Grainy shots of me leaving a clinic, face blurred but unmistakable. Then reports, psych evals, neural scans from a routine med check Harlan had insisted on during onboarding. The secret, I'd volunteered for an underground trial 5 years back. Desperate for rent money, I'd signed up for Neuralink's precursor, Echo, a black market brainwave enhancer peddled to broke grads as study aid. It had worked too well, boosted my recall, sharpened my edge. But side effects? Synaptic fragility. A glitch that made my mind swappable. Harlan knew. He'd recruited me because of it, groomed me like a lab rat with lipstick. Worse, the crime I'd borne. Not just his hit and run, but mine. Echo's trial had fried a participant's cortex, some kid from Jersey, comatose after a session. The lab hushed it, paid off the family, and pinned the malfunction on the lead tech. Me? I'd been the assistant, logging data, but they'd forged my sign-off as primary. I'd fled, changed cities, buried it under student loans and denial. Harlan dug it up during due diligence, held it over me like a noose. We're in this together, Everly. Secrets bind us. Bind us. It had chained me. Every late-night favor, every falsified report, it was leverage for my ghost. Now, in his body, the irony choked me. I'd taken falls for his sins, but mine was the original sin, the one that made this swap possible. The burner rang again at 6:30. I answered, Harlan's voice booming from my old lips. Read it yet? That's why you were perfect, Everly. Disposable. Echo made you crackable. You bastard. I hissed, but it came out as his timbre. Calm, commanding. You exploited a kid's death for your empire? He laughed, brittle in my soprano. And you signed the logs. We're twins, sweetheart. Now give me my body back before the bleed starts. You feel it, don't you? His memories creeping in. I did. Flashes. Harlan's first kill. Not literal, but a rival traitor suicided in '09, pushed from a ledge after a whisper campaign. His wedding night. Elena cold even then. It slithered into my thoughts, oily and invasive. No, I said. You framed me at 8:01. By 9, I own you. Own this. Click. The line died, but not before a ping. Files incoming. Screenshots from my old laptop. Emails I'd sent last month, authorizing shady transfers. Not forged. Real. In my desperation to please him, I dipped into the pot myself, skimming $10,000 for student debt. Petty, but prosecutable. Complicity. The board reconvened at 7, virtual this time, suits dialing in from panic rooms. I played interim CEO like a pro, greenlighting a transparency audit that gutted Harlan's allies. Stock stabilized at plus 2%. Power tasted like ash, but I swallowed. Controversial call. Leak the Echo file to the press? Frame him as the exploiter? It'd drag my dirt too, but maybe torch his world first. By 8 p.m., I was en route to the Jersey data farm, Harlan's Bentley purring through Lincoln Tunnel sludge. The driver, a stoic ex-cop named Ruiz, eyed me in the rearview. Rough day, Mr. Voss. You have no idea, I muttered, scrolling burner texts. Harlan and Everly had lawyered up, demanding a psych eval. Good luck convincing the world that the fired analyst was the wolf in sheep's clothing. The farm loomed, a squat bunker amid rusting warehouses, guarded by biometrics. Harlan's retina, my retina now, got me in. Servers hummed like a hive, air thick with ozone. I jacked into the mainframe via his implant, code scrolling in my mind's eye. Lock the tether, done. Purge the beta pool, halfway. Then alarms blared. Security breach. Not mine, his. Cameras showed my old body busting through a side gate. Wild-eyed. Accomplices in tow. 2 Apex mid-managers, the ones Harlan had framed me with. Loyal dogs. Freeze. Shouts echoed. Gunshots, suppressed pops. Chaos. I bolted from the control room, heart hammering in Harlan's chest. Down corridors lit by red emergency strobes, toward the fray. Bursting into the loading bay, Harlan and me, held at gunpoint by guards, but his allies, turning coats, tasers drawn. Everly, he shrieked, my voice twisted. Kill the server. End this. One mid-manager lunged at me, syringe glinting, sedative, maybe worse. I sidestepped, Harlan's reflexes cat-quick, slamming an elbow into his throat. Crack. He dropped, gurgling. The other fired wild. Bullet whined past my ear, embedding in concrete. Controversial? Shoot back? Harlan's ankle holster yielded a Glock, cold and heavy. I raised it, finger itching. Drop it, I growled. He didn't. Fired again. Pain bloomed in Harlan's shoulder, grazed hot. Rage ignited. I squeezed. 2 shots, center mass. The mid-manager crumpled, blood pooling dark but contained. No gore, just finality. American justice, DIY. The guards swarmed, cuffing the rest. Harlan and Everly stared, horror in my eyes. Murderer, he whispered. Your hands now, I said, holstering the gun. Sirens wailed distant, NYPD inbound. By 9:30, the farm was a crime scene tape party. I spun it. Intruders targeting Apex IP. Voss heroically intervenes. Statements taken, me bandaged in a safe room. Harlan, hauled off as delusional ex-employee. My old body sedated for evaluation. But the bleed worsened. Driving back, Harlan's memories flooded. A mistress in Miami, drowned in a boating accident. His father's suicide, staged as heart attack. Whose sins were these? Mine blurred at edges. Echo's victim, the kid's face morphing into the delivery boy's. Midtown lights smeared. I pulled over on the west side highway, vomited into the gutter. Power? It was erosion. Text from Elena. Harlan, what happened? The news, I ignored. Instead, I called the kids. Boys, it's Dad. I need to tell you something. Their voices wary. Dad? You sound weird. Weird. Understatement. As I confessed fragments, the crash, the lies, the line crackled. Mom said you're sick. Like, brain sick. Synaptic bleed. Out loud now. Hang up. Focus. The climax brewed. Tomorrow's shareholder call. Invoke the full reversal. Dismantle Apex from within. But Harlan's final play loomed. From the psych ward, a smuggled note. Check the charter again. The clause has a killer. Killer. Literal? Dawn broke gray over the Hudson at 5 a.m. The kind of light that exposes every crack in the facade. Harlan's penthouse, my temporary cage. Overlooked it all. Fairies churning like lost souls. Joggers oblivious to the apocalypse brewing in my skull. The shoulder wound throbbed under bandages, a dull reminder of the shot I'd taken. Self-defense, the cops ruled. But in the mirror, Harlan's face stared back, etched with lines I'd never earned. Whose eyes were these? Mine flickered through, green and fierce, then submerged. The bleed had accelerated overnight. Dreams weren't mine, Harlan's, vivid and vile. Boardroom seductions turning sour, rivals ruined by whispers to the IRS. Waking, I tasted blood, bit my tongue in sleep. No matter. Coffee brewed black. I prepped for the 10 a.m. shareholder call. The reversal clause, full invocation today. It'd strip Harlan's legacy, redistribute shares to ethical stewards. Me, interim, poised to scoop the pot. Controversial? Hell yes. Accusations of self-dealing would fly, but with his dirt weaponized, who'd argue? Phone buzzed, Andover Academy. The boys. Mr. Voss? Your sons. They're upset. Something about a call last night. I spoke with them. I said, voice steady. Family matters. A pause. They're requesting a welfare check. Said you admitted to killing someone. Shit. The confessions bleed. Harlan's influence leaking into my words? Or truth serum from guilt? Misunderstanding. Send my regards. Hung up, heart pounding. The kids, leverage now or casualties. Controversial decision. Cut them loose. Text Elena. Tell the boys it's a hoax. Protect them. Her reply from you. Harlan, you're unraveling. Unraveling. Apt. By 7, the office hummed with damage control. Ruiz drove, silent as ever, weaving through Soho traffic thick with Ubers and entitlement. Apex's bullpen buzzed louder. Whispers of Voss's breakdown. My old body in Bellevue under suicide watch. Harlan and Everly, raging against restraints, claiming identity theft. Psych eval pending. Delusions, they'd say. My psych eval. The real one, buried in echo files, screaming vulnerability. The charter. I pored over it in the Bentley, digital copy on Harlan's tablet. There, the killer clause. Not just reversal on fraud, but a mortality trigger. If the CEO's incapacity was deemed permanent, brain death, coma, or neural compromise, control defaulted to a shadow board. Harlan's hand-picked cronies, the ones I'd shot at last night. Loyalists who'd bury the fraud, resurrect him. Neural compromise. Synaptic bleed qualified. If they scanned his my implants. The call started at 10 sharp, holographic feeds flickering with institutional investors, pension funds, Saudi royals, vulture capitalists in pinstripes. I stood at the podium, Harlan's frame imposing in bespoke wool. Ladies and gentlemen, I began. Apex stands at a crossroads. The reversal clause activates today, purging corruption at its root. Murmurs. Slides projected. Ledgers exposed. Elena's audio cued. Gasps turned to outrage. Stocks tanked 15% in pre-market. But I pressed. Under my interim stewardship, we'll rebuild. Ethical. Transparent. Questions pelted like hail. Voss, is this a coup? What about the shooting? Self-defense, I parried. As for the clause. Ping. Internal alert. Medical scan initiated. The shadow board, moving fast. Harlan's implant. My conduit, streaming vitals. Bleed detected. 62% integrity. Alerts fired to cronies. Fuck. I ended the call abruptly, 10:45. Stormed to the lab, where Neuralink hummed dormant. Text scattered, loyal to Harlan. One lingered. Dr. Lena Cho, the Echo creator, small and sharp-eyed. Mr. Voss. Or Everly. She knew. Of course. Harlan's confidant, architect of my fragility. Fix it, I demanded. Purge the bleed. She laughed, bitter. Can't. Echo was the prototype, flawed by design. You were the perfect test. Swappable, because you're breakable. Harlan chose you for that. And the kid? Collateral. His coma funded this. Gestured to the chair, electrodes mocking. Betrayal's abyss. She'd sign my logs too. Complicit in the trial, the cover-up. You let him frame me. Survival, she shrugged. Now, reverse or die merged. Controversial? Trust her? Or end her? Harlan's Glock weighed in my desk drawer. Instead, I strapped in. Do it. The chair whirred, volts dancing. Pain lanced, memories colliding. Mine, Brooklyn childhood, mom's diner shifts, NYU grind. His, Ivy privilege, first fortune at 25, the crashes screech. Elena's scream. The kid's limp form. 11:30, eject. Vision cleared, but echoes lingered. Integrity, 75%. Temporary patch. Shadow board convened at noon, virtual knives out. Voss, your scans show compromise. Clause triggers. Step down. No. I countered, broadcasting the full dossier. Their bribes, their shells. Mutiny in pixels. One by one, they folded or fled. Victory tasted Pyrrhic. By 1 p.m., Harlan's lawyer arrived, silver-haired shark named Pierce. My client, Everly Kane, demands audience. She's coherent. Bellevue. I went alone, Ruiz waiting curbside. The ward reeked of bleach and despair. Harlan and me strapped to a bed, eyes, my eyes, burning. Everly, he croaked. This ends. Pierce has the echo kill switch. One call, we both fry. Bluff? Pierce hovered, briefcase clutched. Sign the transfer back, Mr. Voss. Or I invoke the clause's penalty, neural wipe. Controversial climax. Yield or double down. I leaned in, Harlan's breath on my old cheek. You took everything. My career. My name. But this. Touched his, my temple. This is mine now. Pulled the plug. Not literally. Remote override from my phone. The tether snapped for him, not me. Harlan's mind recoiled, trapped in my shell, no bridge back. He screamed, arching seizure? Nurses swarmed. Pierce bolted. I let him. The wipe? Bluffed. But the damage, real. Harlan's essence frayed, leaving me in his body, purer. By 3 p.m., headlines screamed. Apex CEO Voss steps aside amid scandal. Shares cratered, but I, interim, bought low with shadow funds. Power consolidated. Evening fell. Tuscany loomed. Harlan's escape. But now mine. Elena called. Harlan? The boys. They're coming home. They want answers. Answers. The truth. I'd borne sins for ghosts. Now, I'd forge my own. But in the mirror that night, Harlan's face smiled mine. Bleed at 82%. Whose smile was it? Tuscany hit like a fever dream at dawn on the red-eye. Harlan's Gulf Stream slicing Mediterranean skies. Me in his linen slacks, sipping espresso from bone china. The villa perched on Chiani Hills, Cypress sentinels guarding infinity pools and secrets. Elena waited on the terrace, blonde hair whipping in breeze, boys flanking her like wary sentries. 16-year-old Theo, lanky with Harlan's jaw, and 14-year-old Miles, all eyes and acne. They stared as I descended the steps, Harlan's stride turning heads. Dad, Theo ventured, voice cracking. You look different. Jet lag. I lied, embracing them stiffly. Hugs like handling fragile ordnance. Elena's kiss landed cool on my cheek. Harlan, Bellevue? The news, it's everywhere. Handled, I said, Harlan's timbre reassuring. Lunch unfolded. Prosciutto platters. Wine flowing like confessions. I watched them. Family I'd infiltrated. Ghosts in my borrowed life. The boys grilled. That lady, Everly? She shot at you. Complicated, I evaded. But Miles pressed. Eyes. Harlan's eyes. Piercing. You said on the phone. About the boy. The accident. Truth's hook sank deep. Controversial. Spill? The crash details tumbled. Tires screeching. Elena's gasp. The kid's bike mangled. Not Harlan's confession, but mine, laced with echo guilt. I covered it. We all did. For this. Gestured to the villa, the vines heavy with grapes. Theo recoiled. You're a monster. Monster. Harlan's legacy, now mine. Elena teared up. Harlan, stop. The boys. No. I stood, voice breaking, my break, not his. I'm not him. Not fully. The bleed confessed itself. 89%. Flashes, his infidelities, my ambitions, merging into a hybrid horror. Panic rippled. Theo bolted inside. Miles followed, sobbing. Elena slapped me, his cheek stinging. What the hell's wrong with you? Everything. I grabbed her wrist, gentle but firm. The swap. Neuralink. Everly's in me now. Harlan's. Gone. She yanked free, horror dawning. You're insane. Like her. Her. Me. The frame jobs architect. You helped Elena. The jealousy. The nudge to bury me. Silence, then venom. You deserved it. Sleeping your way up, stealing my husband. Stolen? I'd been stolen, from myself. The twist brewed. Not just betrayal, but inversion. Harlan hadn't chosen me for echo alone. Elena had flagged my resume, dug the trial dirt during a wellness check she oversaw as board liaison. Complicity tripled. She'd borne the crash sin too, but outsourced the fall to me. By dusk, the villa emptied. Boys whisked to a safe house in Florence, Elena barricaded in the master. I wandered the gardens, Harlan's phone buzzing. Pierce. The clause's penalty, activated. Shadow board votes wipe at midnight. Wipe. Neural purge. End the bleed. End me in this shell. But whose end? Midnight tolled from some distant campanile. I jacked into the villa's satellite link. Harlan's paranoia, full spectrum. Code flowed. Accept or resist. Controversial apex. Merge fully. Become Voss Kane, hybrid air. Resisted. Pulled the kill switch. My design, buried in echo overrides. The world inverted. Pain crested, tsunami of selves. Harlan's empire crumbled in my mind. Deals dissolving, sins absolved in digital fire. When light returned, I was back. Me. Everly Kane, in my body, slumped on Brooklyn's stoop. No, wait. The swap reversed, but not clean. Harlan's husk lay in Tuscany, comatose, Elena screaming for ambulances. The boys. Witnesses to madness. Apex. Mine by proxy. The reversal clause, twisted, control to incapacitated CEOs designate. Me, named in a forged addendum from the chaos. Shares soared on Voss recovery, rumors. Power, posthumous. But the twist, synaptic bleed permanent. Harlan's thoughts lingered, cunning, cold. In boardrooms, I closed deals with his ruthlessness. At night, nightmares of crashes, not mine alone. Ending? Happy for the Empire. Everly Kane, CEO at 33, toasting with scotch in penthouses. Tragic for the soul, whose hand signs the checks. Debated in headlines. Genius or ghoul? The Voss enigma. Me? I stare in mirrors, wondering. At 8:01 a.m., fired. By 9 o'clock, reborn. But whose life is this? The kids visit sometimes, wary. Aunt Everly? Theo calls me now. I nod, hiding Harlan's smile. Revenge won. But victory's a swap you can't unmake.